Your Honor, I'm withdrawing from counsel. Atticus Bray destroyed a Mafia boss with 6 words. He gathered his papers at 10:14 a.m., adjusted his gold watch, and detonated Redwood Harbor's biggest trial with those 6 words. The courtroom erupted. Reporters scrambled. Cameras flashed like lightning strikes. But Son Jae-sun didn't move. His expression stayed carved from stone. The same face that built the Dason Circle into California's most feared syndicate. The same face prosecutors claimed ordered 7 executions at the harbor. The same face now staring at life without parole. Alone. Judge Helena Morrison's gavel cracked 3 times before silence returned. Mr. Bray, you cannot simply. Family emergency, Your Honor. Bray's voice carried no regret. Effective immediately. In the back row, Mara Lennox's pencil snapped. 3 weeks. She'd watched this trial for 3 weeks, arriving at 7 a.m. before her diner shifts. Every witness, every objection, every piece of evidence that didn't add up. She'd filled 4 notebooks with observations, contradictions, and questions the defense never asked. Questions Atticus Bray should have asked, unless he never planned to win. Prosecutor Bridget Callan stood, burgundy suit sharp enough to cut glass. The state is ready to proceed, Your Honor. We've accommodated enough delays. Mr. Sohn requires representation. Then he should have arranged backup counsel. Callan's smile could have frozen blood. The people have waited 8 months for justice. Justice? Mara's jaw clenched. This wasn't justice. This was an execution wearing a legal costume. Judge Morrison turned to Jae-sun. Mr. Sohn, do you have alternate counsel? No, Your Honor. His voice carried traces of soul beneath the American polish. I was not informed of Mr. Bray's decision. Then we have no choice but to. I'll represent him. The words left Mara's mouth before her brain caught up. Every head turned. She stood in her black server's uniform, coffee stains on her sleeve, apron stuffed in her pocket. Her twist-out still carried the smell of bacon grease from the morning rush. She looked like someone who'd gotten lost looking for the bathroom, not someone challenging the California legal system. I'm sorry. Judge Morrison leaned forward. Mara's legs shook, but her voice held steady. I said I'll represent him. Whispers crashed through the gallery like waves. Someone laughed. A reporter whispered into his phone. But Jae-sun turned. Really turned. For 3 weeks, he'd never looked at the gallery. Never acknowledged the crowds calling for his blood. But now his dark eyes found hers, and something flickered there. Recognition? Confusion? Hope? Miss Mara Lennox. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. When everyone else sits, you stand. Are you a licensed attorney? Heat crawled up Mara's neck. No, Your Honor. But I studied law for 4 years at Pacific Crest. I've attended every minute of this trial. And someone just violated this man's 6th Amendment rights in front of 50 witnesses. Bridget Callan shot up. She's a waitress. I've seen her at Harborline Diner. This is absurd. What's absurd, Mara interrupted, stepping into the aisle, is pretending this is anything but a setup. Defense counsel doesn't abandon ship mid-trial unless someone opened the hall. The courtroom held its breath. Judge Morrison studied her for 10 seconds that felt like 10 years. Mr. Sohn, this woman is offering to defend you. Highly irregular doesn't begin to describe this. Do you accept? Jae-sun rose slowly, deliberately, like a man making a choice that would change everything. Yes, Your Honor. I accept her. The gavel came down. And Mara Lennox, waitress, law school dropout, nobody, became the most dangerous person in Redwood Harbor. The consultation room smelled like fear and old coffee. You have 18 hours, Judge Morrison had said. Court resumes tomorrow at 9. Now Mara sat across from Son Jae-sun, the man prosecutors called the devil of the docks, with her 4 notebooks spread between them like evidence of her obsession. Why? His first word to her, delivered soft but sharp. Why what? Why watch my trial for 3 weeks? Why stand? Why risk yourself for someone you don't know? Mara's fingers traced her notes. Your third witness, Carla Hendricks. She said she saw you at the warehouse at 11:45 p.m., but in her deposition, she claimed to be in Sacramento until midnight. Jason's eyebrow lifted slightly. Your financial records show deposits every Tuesday. Prosecution says it's drug money. But Harborline Diner makes identical deposits every Tuesday. It's restaurant supply delivery day. Cash businesses always deposit after. She flipped pages, momentum building. Detective Ramon testified your phone pinged the murder scene. But he never mentioned the tower was under maintenance, pinging every phone within 3 miles to that location. Silence stretched between them. You didn't answer my question, Jason said finally. Why? Mara met his eyes. Because I know what it's like to lose everything while everyone watches. My father had a stroke. Turned out it wasn't random. My law school lost my scholarship paperwork. My mother's job disappeared overnight. Someone orchestrated our collapse, piece by piece. And you think that someone connects to me? I think someone wanted me serving coffee instead of serving justice. She pulled out a folder. Until 20 minutes ago, I thought I was paranoid. Then your lawyer abandoned you, and I recognized the pattern. Jason leaned back. You realize what you've done? The glass serpents want me convicted. Helping me makes you their enemy. They destroyed my family when I was nobody. At least now they'll have a reason. Something shifted in his expression, respect mixing with concern. Show me everything, he said. For the next 3 hours, Mara walked him through her discoveries. Every inconsistency, every prosecutorial magic trick, every piece of evidence that pointed to a framed job orchestrated by Vargas and the glass serpents. You saw all this from the gallery? I see patterns. It's why I was good at law before. She stopped. Before they took it from you. Their eyes met across the table. 2 people who'd lost everything. 2 people refusing to lose again. There's something else, Jason said. My lawyer didn't just abandon me. Last week, he stopped taking my calls. Stopped filing motions. Like he was already gone. Or already bought. Jason pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. This was taken 4 days ago. Atticus Bray at Marina Grove. Look who he's having lunch with. Mara's blood chilled. Eliodoro Vargas, head of the glass serpents. And beside him, holding a champagne glass, smiling like he'd already won. Someone Mara recognized but never expected. We have 15 hours left, Jason said quietly. And we just found our real enemy. 2:47 a.m. Empty coffee cups formed a skyline across the table. Legal documents covered every surface like snow. Mara's eyes burned, but she couldn't stop now. Read that back, she said. Jason consulted his notes. Prosecution claims the murder weapon came from your warehouse. But the serial number matches a batch stolen from police evidence 3 months ago. Mara finished, writing frantically. A theft only someone with inside access could arrange. Like a prosecutor. Their eyes met. The implication hung between them like a loaded gun. Tell me about your sister, Mara said suddenly. Jason's hand stilled. Why? Because Vargas had her killed. And I think my father saw it happen. The air in the room shifted, became something dangerous. Her name was Sue Min. His voice carried weight. She wanted to legitimize everything. Transform the Dason circle into something clean. Vargas couldn't let that happen. We controlled the harbor routes he needed. So he killed her. Warehouse explosion. Investigators called it an accident. I called it murder. His jaw tightened. No one would listen. Mara pulled out her personal notebook, the one she'd never shown anyone. My father drove trucks for Harbor Freight. The night of your sister's death, he was scheduled for a pickup at that exact warehouse. Jason went very still. He arrived early. Saw men in serpent colors rigging something. Then he saw her, an Asian woman arguing with Vargas. My father tried to call 911, but they spotted him. What happened? He ran. Made it 3 blocks before the explosion. The official report says he wasn't there, but his medical records show hearing damage consistent with proximity to a blast. She swallowed. 6 months later, he had a stroke. Except now I'm wondering if someone helped it happen. Jason's fist clenched. They silenced him and destroyed my family to keep me from ever having the power to investigate. They sat in shared understanding. 2 lives derailed by the same monster. We're not just fighting for my freedom, Jason said quietly. We're fighting for everyone Vargas has destroyed. Mara stood, pacing to keep exhaustion at bay. We need something explosive for tomorrow. Something that makes the jury question everything. Hendricks, the lying witness. What about her? Jason pulled up financial records on his phone. These are her bank statements. My people are thorough. Look at this deposit. $50,000, 2 days before she testified. From where? Shell Company. But trace it back. His finger moved across the screen. It leads to a campaign fund. Bridget Callan's campaign fund. The room spun. The prosecutor is paying witnesses through 3 layers of shell companies. Enough distance for deniability, but we can establish the connection. Mara grabbed her legal pad. We destroy Hendricks on cross. Make her admit the payment. Then we suggest prosecutorial misconduct without directly accusing. Let the jury connect the dots. You're thinking like a lawyer. I'm thinking like someone with nothing left to lose. Jason stood, moved closer. That's not true. You have your brother, your father, your future. My future ended when they destroyed my family. Tomorrow, we return the favor. 5:23 a.m. Dawn creeping through windows. Ready? He asked. Mara looked at their makeshift case, built on rage, caffeine, and shared vengeance. We're about to destroy the most dangerous people in California with nothing but paper and truth. Then we better make it count. 9 a.m. sharp. Mara entered the courtroom in a borrowed suit that almost fit, carrying evidence that could end everything or everyone. The gallery was packed. Whispers followed her path to the defense table. She caught fragments. Waitress playing lawyer, mob sympathizer, dead by sunset. Jason sat waiting, composed in charcoal gray. He'd been transported from holding at dawn. When their eyes met, he gave the slightest nod. We're really doing this. All rise. Judge Morrison entered, surveyed the circus her courtroom had become. Ms. Lennox, you may call your first witness. Defense recalls Carla Hendricks. Bridget Callan shot up. Objection. Hendricks already testified. To lies, Mara interrupted. We have new evidence directly challenging her testimony. I'll allow it, Judge Morrison ruled. Carla Hendricks walked to the stand like someone approaching a guillotine. 43, bottle blonde, wearing the same nervous twitch she'd had last week, except now Mara knew why. Miss Hendricks, you testified you saw my client at the warehouse at 11:45 p.m., correct? Yes. But your deposition says you were in Sacramento until midnight. I made a mistake. It was earlier. Mara pulled out bank statements. Defense enters Exhibit 47. Ms. Hendricks, is this your bank account? Hendricks paled. How did you answer the question? Yes. Can you explain this $50,000 deposit? 2 days before you testified. The courtroom stirred. Bridget Callan's face drained of color. It was an inheritance. From whom? My aunt. Mara smiled, the kind that preceded destruction. Your Aunt Margaret Hendricks? Who's been dead since 2019. Gasps rippled through the gallery. I meant my other aunt. The deposit came from Blackwater Holdings, LLC. Mara displayed the trail on the courtroom screen, which is owned by Riverside Ventures, which receives funding from the Callan Campaign Fund. The courtroom exploded. Judge Morrison hammered her gavel. Order. Bridget Callan stood. This is preposterous. Is it? Mara turned to the jury. The prosecution's star witness received $50,000 from the prosecutor's campaign fund. Draw your own conclusions about what she was paid to say. Objection. Counsel is testifying. Withdrawn. Mara faced Hendricks. One last question. Have you ever met Eliodoro Vargas? Hendricks's eye twitched. No. Mara produced a photograph. Then why were you photographed at his restaurant 6 times last month? The image appeared on screen. Hendricks, Vargas, and 3 glass serpent lieutenants toasting champagne. Date stamp, 2 days before Jason's arrest. I want immunity. Hendricks burst out. They said they'd kill my daughter if I didn't testify. Vargas orchestrated everything. The prosecutor knew, she arranged. Get her off the stand. Bridget Callan roared. But Hendricks was sobbing now, words pouring out. Vargas wanted the harbor. Said Jay's son had to fall. The prosecutor promised protection if I lied. But you don't understand. They have my daughter's school schedule, her routes, they said. A sound like thunder cracked through the courtroom. The windows exploded. Glass rained down as everyone dove for cover. Mara felt Jay's son pull her under the defense table as a second explosion rocked the building. Through the chaos and screaming, she heard Vargas's message loud and clear. Talking equals dying. The courthouse was evacuated. The jury sequestered. The judge called a recess that everyone knew was really a war council. But Hendricks had said enough. 3 hours later, in a secured courtroom with armed guards at every door, the trial resumed. Given the events of this morning, Judge Morrison announced, and the witness's testimony regarding prosecutorial misconduct, I'm considering a directed verdict. Your Honor. Bridget Callan stood, desperation cracking her composure. The defense has presented no concrete. Your witness admitted to perjury, paid for by your campaign fund. That's not proven. Then let's ask the jury. The foreman stood, an elderly black man who'd watched everything with careful eyes. We don't need to deliberate further, Your Honor. We reached our verdict during the recess. Mara's heart hammered. Quick verdicts meant conviction. Always. On the charge of racketeering, not guilty. The air shifted. On the charge of money laundering, not guilty. Bridget Callan sank into her chair. On the charge of conspiracy to commit murder. Mara closed her eyes, felt Jay's son's hand brush hers under the table. Not guilty. The courtroom erupted, but quietly this time. Everyone still rattled from the explosions. 17 charges read. 17 acquittals delivered. Mr. Sohn, Judge Morrison said, you are free to go. Ms. Lennox, see me in chambers. Now. But before Mara could move, a bailiff approached with a manila folder. This was found in Atticus Bray's abandoned office, marked urgent for the defense. Mara opened it. The world tilted. Inside, medical records, bank statements, surveillance photos. Her father at the warehouse. Her father in a hospital bed. Payment authorizations signed by Vargas. And at the bottom, a contract dated 5 years ago. Her father's signature agreeing to launder money through his trucking routes in exchange for medical treatment. When he tried to stop, they destroyed his family, starting with his daughter's law career. Mara, Jay's son, read her face, not the documents. She handed him the folder with trembling hands. His expression darkened as he read. Your father didn't just witness Sumin's murder. He was forced to help cover it up. The truth hit like another explosion. She hadn't randomly decided to watch this trial. She'd been drawn to it, connected to it, orchestrated toward it. You weren't meant to defend me, Jay's son said quietly. You were meant to destroy them. The same people who destroyed your family. Vargas. The serpents. All of them. Through the window, Mara saw Vargas's Mercedes pulling away from the courthouse. Untouched. Unafraid. Still winning. He took everything from your family. Your father's health, your career, your future. Now he's walking away like nothing happened. If you knew the monster who destroyed your family was getting away with it again, what would you do? Subscribe now. Because what Mara decides next changes everything, and the hunters are about to become the hunted. The underground parking garage swallowed light like a throat. Mara walked toward her beat-up Civic, mind spinning from the revelations. Jay's son had stayed behind to handle paperwork. 5 years of frozen assets to reclaim. Her footsteps echoed. Then came other footsteps, matching hers. She quickened her pace. The shadows moved with her. Ms. Lennox. 3 men materialized from behind concrete pillars. Glass serpent tattoos coiled up their necks. The middle one smiled. Vargas's lieutenant, Rico. Impressive show today. But the theater's closed now. Mara's hand found her keys, threading them between her fingers like claws. Security cameras are watching. Cut 20 minutes ago. Tragic malfunction. Rico stepped closer. Mr. Vargas wants you to understand something. Your father's debt didn't die with his stroke. It transferred. I don't owe you anything. You owe us silence. About what you learned today. About what your father saw. About what really happened to the Korean sister. Rico pulled out a phone, showed her a video. Turin, her brother, walking across Cal Poly campus. Timestamp, 30 minutes ago. Engineering building. 3rd floor lab. Alone until 6. Mara's blood froze. Touch him and what? You'll play lawyer again. Rico laughed. You got lucky once. But luck doesn't stop bullets. Ask zoom in. Movement in her peripheral vision. More serpents emerging. 6 total. Surrounded. Here's what happens, Rico continued. You forget today. Forget the trial. Go back to serving coffee. Or your brother has an accident. Your father's machines malfunction. Your mother. A car engine roared. A black Range Rover tore into the garage, tires screaming. It slammed sideways, creating a barrier between Mara and the serpents. The door opened. Jason stepped out, and he wasn't alone. 8 members of the Dason circle emerged from shadow, moving with lethal precision. Touch her, and I'll personally deliver you to the harbor, Jason said quietly. In pieces, like you did to my sister. Rico's hand moved toward his weapon. 3 red dots appeared on his chest, laser sights from Jason's hidden gunman. Mr. Vargas won't like this, Rico warned. Then he should have thought harder before threatening what's mine. What's mine? The words sent heat through Mara's fear. She's not your anything. She's my lawyer, which makes her protected under Dason law. Old rules, Rico. The ones your boss agreed to. Tension stretched like wire about to snap. Finally, Rico stepped back. This isn't over. No, Jason agreed. It's just beginning. The serpents melted back into shadow. Only when their engines faded did Mara realize she'd been holding her breath. You came back. I never left. Jason turned to her. I've had people on you since you stood up in court. Why? He moved closer. Close enough she could see the fury he'd been containing. Because anyone brave enough to save me is exactly who Vargas would target first. His hand brushed her face, checking for injury. That's when she saw it, blood on his collar. You're hurt. Not mine. She looked at him again. Really looked. What did you do? Sent a message. His eyes were dark, dangerous. Nobody threatens you. Not anymore. Harborline Diner, 1:15 p.m. The lunch rush hit like a wave. Construction workers, dock employees, locals who still didn't know their favorite waitress had just freed a mob boss. Mara tied her apron, trying to pretend yesterday hadn't happened. Trying to pretend Jason's protection detail wasn't parked outside. Trying to pretend her hands weren't shaking. Order up. Table 6. She grabbed the plates, muscle memory taking over. Normal. She needed normal. Then the bell above the door chimed, and her brother walked in. Turin stood in the doorway, tall, lanky, wearing his Cal Poly engineering hoodie. His eyes found hers immediately. We need to talk. I'm working. Now, Mara. Something in his voice made her set down the plates. She'd never heard him sound scared before. They huddled in the corner booth. Someone called me, Turin whispered. Asked about Dad's old trucking routes. Said you'd know why. Mara's stomach dropped. Who? Blocked number. But they knew things about the warehouse, about that night, about what Dad saw. You didn't tell them anything? I'm not stupid. But Mara, what did you get involved in? Before she could answer, the door chimed again. 4 men entered. Construction clothes, but their boots were too clean. Their eyes too focused. They spread out, taking different tables. Serpents. Turin, listen carefully. Go to the bathroom. Back window. Run. What? Go. He read her face and moved. The fourth man blocked his path. Bathrooms closed, kid. That's when the kitchen door exploded open. Not kicked, detonated. The blast threw the serpent blocking turret across the room. Through the smoke came Jason's people, moving with military precision. The diner erupted. Tables flipped. Customers screaming, diving for cover. A serpent lunged for Mara. She swung the coffee pot, scalding liquid and shattered glass, sending him reeling. Another grabbed her from behind. She drove her elbow back, heard bone crack, twisted free. Mara, Turin's voice. A serpent had him, knife to throat. Everything froze. Everybody calm down, the serpent said. We're just here for a conversation. Mara stepped forward. Let him go. Come with us quietly. Both of you. Mr. Vargas insists. Through the window, she saw more vehicles arriving. Not police, too organized. Jason's reinforcements. The serpent saw them too. His knife pressed harder against Turin's skin, drawing a bead of blood. Choose, Miss Lennox. Your brother or your mob boyfriend. That's when old Mrs. Chun, 73 years old, regular customer, barely 5 feet tall, stood up from her booth and pulled out a Glock. Let the boy go. Everyone stared. 20 years I run a store in this neighborhood, Mrs. Chun said calmly. Serpents extorted me every month, until Mr. Sohn's people made them stop. So you let that boy go, or I paint my lunch special with your brains. 2 more regular customers stood, the construction workers from table 4. They pulled out weapons too. Dason protected our families, one said. Now we protect theirs. The serpent released Turin, backing toward the door. This isn't over. Yes, Mrs. Chin cocked her weapon. It is. The serpents retreated. In the silence that followed, Mara looked around the destroyed diner. At neighbors willing to fight. At her brother, blood on his neck, but alive. At the community she never knew existed. Pack your things. Jason's voice came from the doorway. Both of you. You're not safe here anymore. The Dason compound wasn't what Mara expected. No gaudy mansion. No armed guards at every corner. Instead, a converted shipping warehouse transformed into something between a fortress and a community center. Children played basketball in one corner. A medical clinic occupied another. The smell of Korean food mixed with Mexican spices from a shared kitchen. This is your criminal empire? Mara asked. This is family, Jason corrected. Turin walked beside them, eyes wide, engineering mind calculating escape routes he'd never need. They entered a conference room where 8 people waited, the Dason Circle's inner leadership. An elderly Korean woman spoke first. This is the waitress who saved you. This is the lawyer who exposed Vargas, Jason corrected. She's not a lawyer, someone muttered. She will be. Jason's tone ended debate. Mara Lennox, meet the real Dason Circle. Around the table, an immigration lawyer, a dock supervisor, a restaurant owner, a city councilwoman, 2 ex-military, a tech specialist, and the elderly woman, Jason's aunt, the matriarch. We're not what prosecutors claimed, the aunt explained. We're what happens when the system fails our people. When police won't protect Korean businesses. When banks won't give loans to immigrants. When the serpents demand protection money from those who can barely feed their families. So you became vigilantes? We became necessary. The councilwoman leaned forward. 40% of Redwood Harbor's immigrant businesses would have closed without our intervention. We don't sell drugs. We stop those who do. But the murders? Self-defense, mostly. The rest were serpents killing our people, blamed on us. The dock supervisor pulled out files. 5 years of frame jobs. Your friend Bridget Callan helped with most of them. Mara absorbed this, reality shifting. Speaking of the prosecutor, the tech specialist connected his laptop to the wall screen. We intercepted something an hour ago. Bridget Callan's voice filled the room. The waitress knows too much. Her father's involvement, the money trail, all of it. Handle her and the brother. Make it look random. Vargas responded. already in motion. By tomorrow, she'll be another tragic victim of random violence. The recording ended. They're coming for you tonight, Jason said. Both of you. Then we run. No. The aunt's voice carried authority. Running makes you pray. You stand and fight. I'm not a fighter. You stood in court. Faced down the serpents. Protected your brother. The aunt smiled. You're more fighter than you know. Jason pulled up building blueprints. They'll hit your apartment and your mother's house simultaneously. But they don't know we intercepted their plan. So we ambush the ambush, the ex-military one said. Turin finally spoke. You're using my sister as bait? We're using me as bait, Mara corrected. To end this. She looked at the faces around the table. Immigrants. Survivors. People who'd built their own justice when the system failed. What do you need me to do? The aunt smiled. Exactly what Vargas expects. Go home. Act normal. And when they come, we'll be ready. Jason finished. His hand found hers under the table. War was coming to Redwood Harbor. Midnight. Redwood Harbor's docks stretched into darkness like fingers into black water. Mara stood beside Jason on Pier 47, the same pier where his sister died, where her father witnessed murder, where everything began. Why here? She asked. Because you deserve the whole truth. His voice carried weight. Before we go to war, you need to understand what you're really fighting for. Wind whipped off the Pacific, carrying salt and secrets. Sumin wasn't just my sister. She was everything good about our family. While I managed the necessary violence, she built the legitimate side. Schools, clinics, legal aid. He pulled out his phone, showed her a photo, a beautiful Korean woman laughing beside a younger version of himself. She was pregnant when Vargas killed her. The words hit like physical blows. Her daughter would have been 5 now. Would have changed everything. Given us reason to go completely legitimate. His jaw tightened. Vargas knew. That's why he chose fire. To erase every trace of the future she carried. Mara's throat closed. My father. Your father tried to save her. Jason pulled out a file she'd never seen. Inside, her father's original statement, never filed with police. She read his handwritten words. Arrived at Warehouse 7 at 10:47 p.m. Saw 4 men rigging explosives. Hispanic male, spider tattoo, giving orders. Asian woman arrived, pregnant, arguing with him. She said, you kill me, you start a war. He said, wars are profitable. I called 911, but no signal. They spotted me. I ran. Heard her screaming. Then the explosion. God help me. I ran while she burned. Tears streamed down Mara's face. He tried, Jason said softly. But Vargas had the police response delayed. By the time anyone arrived, evidence was ash. The stroke. Induced. A paralytic drug that mimics stroke symptoms. Vargas's favorite way to silence witnesses. He turned to her. Your father spent 5 years unable to speak about what he saw. Living with that weight. Why didn't you tell me before? Because you needed to choose this fight for your own reasons. Not guilt. Not obligation. But justice. She looked at him. Really looked. Saw past the dangerous reputation to the brother who'd lost everything. The son trying to honor his sister's dream. The man who'd trusted a stranger because she was the first person in 5 years to see him as human. There's more, he said quietly. The prosecutor, Bridget Callan. She wasn't just taking bribes. He showed her surveillance footage. Callan entering a hotel room. Vargas following. Timestamps showed they stayed 3 hours. They're lovers. Have been for 2 years. Every conviction she got against us. Every failed case against the serpents. Pillow talk and profit. The scope of corruption staggered her. She'll be at her beach house tonight. Jay's son continued. While Vargas sends men after you. She always alibis herself during his violence. So we have nothing connecting her. We have everything. He pulled out a drive. Her personal laptop. Every communication with Vargas. Murder plans. Money trails. Enough to bury them both. How did you? Her housekeeper's daughter has leukemia. Guess who paid for treatment? The Dason Circle. Community protecting community. This is why you accepted me, Mara realized. A waitress with nothing to lose. Someone Vargas wouldn't see coming. No. Jason moved closer. I accepted you because when everyone else saw a monster, you saw a man. When everyone else abandoned me, you stood. His hand touched her face. I accepted you because you're the first person since Su-min died who made me believe justice was possible. Their lips met as fog rolled off the harbor. Tasted like salt and promise and war. When they pulled apart, she saw movement in the shadows. Multiple vehicles. Converging. They're early, Jason said, pulling her behind a container. But the men who emerged weren't serpents. They wore federal badges. And they were arresting everyone. FBI. Nobody moved. 20 agents swarmed the dock, weapons drawn, cutting off every escape route. Jason pushed Mara behind him as red laser dots painted them both. Son Jason, you're under arrest for conspiracy, racketeering, and murder. But the lead agent wasn't looking at Jason. She was looking at Mara. Ms. Lennox, we need to talk. Don't say anything, Jason warned. Agent Patricia Cole approached, 45, sharp suit, sharper eyes. Relax, Mr. Sohn. We're not here for you. We're here because of her. She held up a photograph. Professor Marcus Webb, Mara's criminal law professor from Pacific Crest. The one who'd written her recommendation letters. The one who'd promised to help her get reinstated. Your old professor reached out yesterday, Agent Cole explained. Said you had evidence of systematic corruption involving Prosecutor Callan and the Glass Serpents. Mara's blood chilled. I didn't tell him anything. No, but he's been watching you. We all have. Cole smiled. Ms. Lennox, what do you know about Operation Harbor Clean? Nothing. For 3 years, the FBI has been building a case against Vargas. We had everything except proof of judicial corruption. Then you stood up in court. Cole stepped closer. Professor Webb isn't just faculty. He's been undercover FBI for 5 years. The betrayal hit like ice water. He sabotaged my law career, Mara whispered. He protected you. Vargas had you marked for recruitment or elimination. Dropping out kept you invisible. Cole pulled out files. Until you defended Mr. Sohn and became the most valuable witness in California. You're lying. Your father's stroke? We know it was induced. His testimony about Su-min's murder? We have the suppressed 911 call. Callan's money trail? We tracked every dollar. Cole's voice softened. But prosecution without your testimony means nothing. You're the thread connecting everything. Jason stepped forward. She's not testifying. She doesn't have a choice. Cole nodded to her agents. Either she cooperates, or we arrest her for aiding organized crime. Her brother for conspiracy. Her mother for harboring fugitives. You can't. Your family stayed at the Dason compound. That's harboring. Turin accepted their protection. That's conspiracy. You defended a known criminal with illegally obtained evidence. That's aiding and abetting. Mara felt the trap closing. Or, Cole continued, you wear a wire. Tonight, get Vargas and Callan's confessions. We arrest them, and your family walks free. They'll kill her, Jason said flatly. Not if she's convincing. Cole turned to Mara. Professor Webb is meeting you in an hour. He'll bring you to Callan, say you want to make a deal. You're scared, desperate, willing to turn on Jason for immunity. No, Callan's guard will be down. She thinks she's won. One conversation, and this ends. Agent Cole held out a phone. Call Webb, or I arrest everyone you love. Mara looked at Jason, saw understanding in his eyes, and something else. Trust. He was telling her to play along. Give me the phone, she said. Webb answered on the first ring. Mara, I'm so sorry it had to be this way. Just tell me where to meet you. Callan's beach house. 1 hour. And Mara? Come alone. The line died. Agent Cole smiled. Perfect. We'll be listening to everything. But as they fitted the wire, Jason caught her eye. His lips moved silently, will be there too. The FBI just made her choose between love and family, but they don't know Jae-sun's people are already at the beach house. Subscribe now, because what happens when she walks into that room will leave someone dead. The beach house glowed against Redwood Harbor's skyline, all glass and arrogance. Mara sat in Professor Webb's car, wire taped beneath her ribs, trying not to think about the 17 ways this could go wrong. You were never supposed to be involved, Webb said quietly. When you stood up in court, you destroyed 3 years of careful planning. You destroyed my life. I saved it. Vargas wanted you as leverage against your father. Either you joined them or died. Dropping out was the only way. To make me nobody. Too insignificant to matter. Exactly. They approached the door. Through the windows, Mara saw Bridget Callan pacing, phone pressed to her ear, wine glass in hand. And behind her, 3 serpents. Armed. She brought security, Mara whispered. She's paranoid. Jae-sun's acquittal destroyed her career. Webb knocked. The door opened. Callan stood there, designer suit replaced with silk loungewear that probably cost more than Mara's monthly rent. The waitress. How poetic. They entered. The serpent's eyes tracked Mara like predators. Drink. Callan offered. I want immunity, Mara said directly. For me and my family. From what? Aiding Jae-sun. I have his files. Financial records. Murder plans. Everything. Callan's eyes sharpened. Why betray him now? Because the FBI grabbed me an hour ago. They want me to testify against you. Silence. One serpent's hand drifted toward his weapon. But I know who really runs this city, Mara continued. And it's not the FBI. Callan laughed. Smart girl. Show me the files. Mara pulled out a drive, the real one Jae-sun had given her. His actual evidence against Callan. She was betting everything on one detail the FBI didn't know. The drive was encrypted. Only she and Jae-sun knew the password. Callan inserted it into her laptop. Password prompt appeared. The code. First, immunity. In writing. Sign. You're hardly in a position to negotiate. The FBI is listening to this conversation. Everyone froze. Mara pulled the wire from under her shirt, held it up. But here's what they don't know. She dropped the wire into Callan's wine glass. It sparked and died. I'm not here to trap you. I'm here to offer you a deal. Callan leaned back, intrigued. Go on. Vargas is planning to kill you. The temperature dropped. You're lying. Tonight. After he deals with me and Jae-sun. You know too much. The federal heat is too intense. He needs you gone. Mara pulled out her phone, played a recording. Jae-sun's people had intercepted it hours ago. Vargas's voice. Callan's usefulness has expired. Make it look like suicide. Guilt over the failed prosecution. Callan's face went white. But Jae-sun has a different offer, Mara said. You turn state's evidence against Vargas. He guarantees your safety. The Dason Circle protecting a prosecutor? The enemy of our enemy. Mara stood. You have 10 minutes to decide. After that, we disappear, and you face Vargas alone. Through the window, headlights approached. Multiple vehicles. That's him now, Mara said softly. Choose fast. Callan grabbed her laptop, her files, her gun. There's a tunnel, she whispered. Under the house. Leads to the neighbor's garage. They ran. Behind them, glass shattered. Vargas had arrived. Warehouse 7. Where Su-min died. Where everything started. Now it would end there too. Mara crouched behind rusted machinery. Callan beside her. Both watching Vargas's men drag a beaten figure into the light. Jae-sun. Blood ran from his temple. His hands were zip-tied. But his eyes remained unbroken. You thought you were clever. Vargas circled him like a shark. Turning my prosecutor. Hiding the waitress. But I own this harbor. You own nothing. Jae-sun spat blood. Just fear and lies. Vargas pulled out a knife. Your sister said something similar. Right before the flames took her. Mara had to bite her hand to stay silent. The plan was simple. Callan had called Vargas, claimed she'd captured Jae-sun, brought him here as proof of loyalty. While Vargas gloated, the FBI and Dason's circle would surround the warehouse. But plans never survived contact with reality. "Where's Callan?" Vargas demanded from his lieutenant. "She said she was coming." She turned. His voice went deadly. "Find her." Half his men scattered to search. The trap was collapsing. That's when Callan stood up. "I'm here, baby." She walked into the light, designer heels clicking on concrete. "Just wanted to make an entrance." Vargas relaxed. "You had me worried." "Never." She moved close, ran her hand along his chest. "I brought you something better than just sewn." "What?" "The waitress." Callan turned. "Come out, Mara, or I tell him where your brother's hiding." Mara's blood froze. This wasn't the plan. But she stood, walked into the light. Vargas smiled. "The hero waitress. Your father watched my fire too. Did you know he cried? Begged me to save her." "You're lying." "Am I?" He pulled out an old phone, played a recording. Her father's voice, broken and desperate. "Please, she's pregnant. Please, I'll do anything." The sound of flames. A woman's scream. Her father sobbing. "God forgive me, God forgive me." Mara lunged at Vargas. His men grabbed her, forced her to her knees beside Jason. "History repeats," Vargas said, flicking his lighter. "Another fire. Another tragedy. The waitress and mob boss dying together. How romantic." He nodded to his men. "Spread the gasoline." "Wait," Callan said. "I want to do something first." She walked to Mara, knelt down, whispered, "The password to the drive. Give it to me, and I'll make your death quick." Mara met her eyes. Saw something flickering there. A message. "Sumin's birthday," Mara said loudly. "October 15th. Callan stood, pulled out her phone, entered the password. The files opened. But not just Jason's evidence. Also the virus his tech specialist had embedded. Every screen in the warehouse lit up, computers, phones, tablets, all displaying the same thing. Vargas's confession, recorded 10 minutes ago, broadcasting live to FBI servers, RHPD dispatch, and every news station in California. "You recorded me?" Vargas spun toward Callan. She smiled. "Every word, baby." The warehouse doors exploded open. FBI agents flooded in from one side, Dason's soldiers from another. Vargas grabbed Mara, knife to her throat. Everyone back. But Jason was already moving. The zip ties had been fake. He'd been armed the whole time. One shot. Vargas's knife hand exploded in red. Mara twisted free as Vargas fell. "You should have stayed away from my family," she said. Agent Cole's voice echoed through the warehouse. "Eliodoro Vargas, you're under arrest for murder, conspiracy, racketeering." The list continued as they dragged him away. But Mara only heard Jason's voice. "It's over." She collapsed against him. "Your sister can rest now." Through the warehouse doors, she saw dawn breaking over the harbor. A new day for Redwood Harbor. But first, one more revelation waited. Emergency session. 7 a.m. The same courtroom where Mara had stood as a nobody now held the future of Redwood Harbor in its oak-paneled walls. Every seat filled. Media banned. This was too explosive for cameras. FBI agents lined the walls like sentinels. The Dason Circle occupied the left gallery, glass serpent defectors on the right, and between them, citizens who'd lived in fear for decades. Judge Helena Morrison entered, her black robes carrying the weight of what was about to unfold. This emergency session concerns the matter of the people versus Eliodoro Vargas, with additional testimony regarding systematic corruption in the Redwood Harbor judicial system. In the defendant's chair, Vargas, orange jumpsuit hanging on his diminished frame, hands shackled to the table. His empire had crumbled in 3 days. His accounts frozen. His lieutenants flipped or fled, but his eyes still burned with venom. District Attorney James Chun, imported from Sacramento to avoid any taint of local corruption, stood with military bearing. "The state calls Mara Lennox." Mara rose from the prosecution table. 3 months ago, she'd served Chin coffee at the diner. Now she walked to the witness box in a charcoal suit Jason had bought, carrying evidence that would reshape California's legal landscape. State your name for the record. Mara Lennox, former law student at Pacific Crest University, current witness to conspiracy, murder, and judicial corruption. Ms. Lennox, I'm showing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 47. Do you recognize this? The warehouse confession played through the courtroom speakers. Vargas's voice, clear and damning. Your father cried like a child. The pregnant Korean bitch burned beautifully. Callan does what I tell her. Several jury members looked physically ill. That's from 3 nights ago, Mara confirmed. Warehouse 7. Recorded during what Mr. Vargas believed was my execution. Objection. Vargas's public defender, a nervous man named Garrett, stood. This witness has no legal standing. She's not a lawyer, not law enforcement. She's a percipient witness to attempted murder, Judge Morrison ruled. Her standing is valid. Continue. Chin pulled up financial records on the courtroom screens. Can you identify these transactions? Prosecutor Bridget Callan's payments from Vargas-controlled shell companies. 53 transactions over 24 months. Total, $3.7 million. Objection. Hearsay. These are bank records obtained under federal warrant. Chin responded. Exception to hearsay. Overruled. Vargas suddenly erupted, slamming his shackled hands on the table. This bitch knows nothing. Her father was on my payroll. Check his accounts. Every month, money from my companies. She's protecting him. The gallery stirred. Even Judge Morrison looked concerned. Mara stood in the witness box, steady as stone. You're absolutely right, Mr. Vargas. My father took your money. Chin's jaw dropped. This wasn't in their prep. Every month for 4 years, Mara continued, pulling out medical documents. Payments to Mercy General Hospital. To Dr. Richard Huang, neurologist. To PharmaCorp for experimental stroke medication not covered by insurance. She turned to face Vargas directly. You poisoned my father with a paralytic that mimics stroke symptoms. Then you made him pay for the treatment. $300,000 to slowly recover from what you did to him. Lies. People's Exhibit 52. Chin quickly recovered. Medical records showing paralytic toxin in Marcus Lennox's blood, consistent with induced stroke. The courtroom doors opened. Every head turned. A figure in a wheelchair rolled forward, pushed by Turin. Marcus Lennox, thin but alert, wearing his best suit, the one from before everything fell apart. Your Honor, his voice was weak but clear. I request permission to testify. Judge Morrison leaned forward. Mr. Lennox, you understand you're not required. I've been silent for 5 years. No more. They swore him in. The gallery held its breath. October 15th. Marcus began, each word careful, fought for. Warehouse 7. My delivery run. Arrived at 10:47. His eyes found Jason in the gallery. Your sister, she was beautiful. Strong. Pregnant, maybe 7 months. She stood against 4 men. Vargas, in front. Jason's knuckles went white. She said, kill me, you start a war. Vargas said, wars are profitable. She said, my child will survive. He said, Marcus paused, gathering strength. He said, 2 birds, 1 fire. A woman sobbed in the gallery. I tried to call 911. No signal. They had jammers. They saw me. I ran. Behind me, screaming. The explosion knocked me down 3 blocks away. What happened after? Chin asked gently. 3 months later, Vargas visited me. Said he was a concerned businessman. Wanted to help with medical bills. Gave me insulin injection. Said I looked diabetic. Marcus's eyes locked on Vargas. Within hours, paralysis started. The side door burst open. Bridget Callan entered in orange, flanked by federal marshals. Her designer life replaced by federal custody. Your Honor, her voice broke. I need to make a statement. Morrison nodded. Callan faced the gallery, former colleagues, reporters, people she'd wrongfully prosecuted. Everything Mara Lennox said is true. I took bribes, falsified evidence, destroyed innocent lives. But there's more. She pulled out a drive. Every crime Vargas ordered, every official he owned, and the person above him, the one who really controls this city. Don't you dare. Vargas lunged from his chair. 3 marshals tackled him, pinning him as he screamed. You don't know who you're crossing. They'll kill your families. Every last one. As they dragged him out, his final words echoed. The harbor masters are watching. You're all dead. Silence. Then Judge Morrison spoke. Given the overwhelming evidence, this court recommends immediate federal prosecution of Mr. Vargas on all counts including murder, attempted murder, conspiracy, racketeering, and corruption. Ms. Callan, your cooperation will be noted at sentencing. She turned to Mara. Ms. Lennox, this court recognizes your extraordinary service to justice. I'm forwarding an immediate recommendation to the California Bar. Your law license should be expedited without delay. Then to Marcus. Mr. Lennox, on behalf of the system that failed you, I'm deeply sorry. As the gavel fell, Mara found Jason's eyes. They'd won. But Vargas's warning echoed. The harbor masters are watching. Justice came for the untouchable, but Vargas's final threat hangs over everyone. The harbor masters, whoever they are, won't let this stand. Subscribe now, because the real war for Redwood Harbor is about to begin. 3 months later, the Harbor Legal Aid Clinic occupied what had been a glass serpent money laundering front, a former check-cashing store on Vine Street. Now, instead of desperate people getting trapped in predatory loans, they received free legal help. Mara adjusted the crooked, grand opening banner for the 5th time while Turin laughed from his laptop station. It's fine, perfectionist. It's our first day. Everything needs to be. Next client. Mrs. Nguyen shuffled in, 73 years old, clutching deportation papers like a death sentence. 40 years I live here, she whispered. My daughter born here. Grandchildren. They say I must leave. Mara reviewed the documents, her trained eye catching what overwhelmed civilians missed. Mrs. Nguyen, their filing is dated wrong. They missed the statutory deadline by 6 days. You're safe. The woman burst into tears, blessing Mara in Vietnamese, Mandarin, and broken English. This was her 20th case today. Each one a life saved from bureaucratic destruction. You could make millions at a corporate firm, Turin observed, organizing files. I could. Mara looked at the waiting room, packed with hotel workers, fishermen, restaurant staff. People the system ignored until it came to destroy them. But this is what Su Min would have done. Through the window, she watched Jason directing construction across the street. The old Serpent Drug Warehouse was becoming a youth center. Former gang members worked alongside Korean grandmothers, building something better from the ashes. Her phone buzzed. Bar exam results. 3 months of studying between court appearances, witness protection, and building this clinic. Her hands trembled as she logged in. Passed. Yes. Turin shouted, lifting her in a hug. My sister, the official lawyer. After everything, a piece of paper seems anticlimactic. Don't. Jason stood in the doorway, champagne in one hand, flowers in the other. Don't diminish this. You earned it the hard way. Despite them. Because of your brilliance. He popped the cork, poured glasses for the entire waiting room. To the waitress who became a warrior, he toasted. Former waitress, she corrected, kissing him. Current defender of the defenseless. The Dason Circle had transformed completely. Security company with city contracts. Import business approved by federal inspectors. Community Development Corporation rebuilding what the serpents destroyed. Everything legitimate. Everything Su Min had dreamed. There's someone else here, Jason said quietly. Marcus Lennox walked through the door. Actually walked. 6 months of aggressive therapy had restored 70% mobility. He moved carefully but independently. "Dad." Mara rushed to him. "My daughter. My lawyer daughter." His voice was strong now. The paralytic finally purged from his system. "I need to tell you something." Privately, they went to her office, really a converted storage room with 2 desks and a dying plant Turin insisted would survive. "The night of the fire," Marcus began, "I've been remembering more. Details that were fuzzy before." He pulled out a notebook, pages covered in shaky handwriting. "Zoom in." She gave me something. Before Vargas saw me, pressed it into my hand, said, "Keep this safe." From his pocket, he produced a silver locket, Korean characters engraved on its surface. Jae-sun's intake of breath was sharp. Our mother's locket. Sumin never took it off. With trembling fingers, he opened it. Inside, a photo of young siblings and a tiny key. "Safety deposit box," Marcus said. "Bank of Redwood. Box 1015. I kept it hidden all these years, too scared to look. But now." They drove together, Mara, Jae-sun, and Turin. The bank manager, recognizing them from news coverage, expedited access. The box opened to reveal Soo-min's investigation. USB drives, documents, photos, financial records. 5 years of meticulous research into something called the Harbor Masters. She knew, Jae-sun whispered, reading his sister's notes. She was investigating the shadow organization controlling California's ports. Page after page revealed the scope: judges, politicians, police commissioners, union leaders. A network stretching from Seattle to San Diego. That's why they had her killed, Mara realized. Vargas was just their enforcer. One name appeared repeatedly, circled in red ink. Marcus Webb. My professor? Mara's world tilted. He's FBI. Or that's what he wanted everyone to believe, Turin said, cross-referencing on his laptop. Look at this. Webb's been in California 20 years. Every major crime organization that threatened the Harbor Masters mysteriously got taken down by federal investigations he led. He doesn't catch criminals, Jae-sun said slowly. He eliminates competition. Mara's phone rang. Unknown number. Don't, Jae-sun warned. She answered anyway. Congratulations on passing the bar, Mara. Webb's familiar voice, but different now. Colder. I'm proud of you. You're Harbor Masters. Such an ugly name. We prefer the board. And we have a proposition. Go to hell. Check your clinic's mail. Package arrived an hour ago. Turin was already running, returning with a manila envelope. Inside, photos of her mother at work. Turin on campus. Marcus at physical therapy. Jae-sun at the youth center. All taken within the last week. You've been entertaining, Webb continued. So entertaining, we're offering you a choice. Join us, or you'll kill everyone I love. Kill? So dramatic. We'll simply restore the natural order. Your father relapses. Your brother has an accident. Your husband's legitimate business faces federal investigation. And if I join, you become the most powerful prosecutor in California. The cases you want to win, win. The people you want to protect, protected. Mara looked at Jae-sun, then at her family. I'll think about it. Smart girl. You have 1 week. The line went dead. In the silence that followed, Mara placed her hand on her stomach. The test this morning had been positive. 8 weeks. A baby growing while shadows circled. We fight, Jae-sun said simply. Against the entire system? We've done it before. Mara nodded, already planning. The Harbor Masters had made one mistake. They'd threatened her family. The wedding was a collision of worlds. Korean drums met gospel choir. Former Yakuza sat beside FBI agents. The entire harbor community packed into St. Catherine's, the church Mara's grandmother had attended, overlooking the Pacific. Do you see Webb? Mara whispered to Jae-sun as they stood at the altar. Southeast corner. 3 of his people with him. The Harbor Masters were watching. Let them. 6 months of careful planning had led to this moment. Not just a wedding, a trap. Father Martinez began the ceremony, but Mara barely heard him. Her hand rested on her visible belly. 5 months now, the baby moving constantly. Their child would be born into a clean harbor or not at all. The rings? Father Martinez asked. Turin stepped forward as best man, winking at his sister. Inside his jacket, not just rings, but a transmitter broadcasting everything to federal servers in Washington. The real FBI, not Webb's corrupted local branch. Mara. Jason's voice carried to every corner, every recording device. You stood when everyone sat, fought when everyone ran. You took down an empire with nothing but courage and truth. His words were for her, but also for Webb, who shifted in his seat. I promise to stand beside you against any enemy, any shadow, any threat to our family. Any threat. The message was clear. Jason, Mara responded, her voice steady. You showed me that redemption isn't given, it's earned. That family isn't blood, it's choice. That justice isn't what the powerful decide, it's what we demand. She saw Webb's jaw tighten. I promise to fight beside you until every shadow is brought to light. They kissed as the church erupted in celebration. The reception transformed the rebuilt Warehouse 7 into something magical. Where Sumin died, now children played. Where Vargas stored drugs, now families danced. Beautiful ceremony. Webb approached during the father-daughter dance. Your grandmother would be proud. She never liked snakes in her church, Mara replied. Webb smiled. Have you considered my offer? Every day. And dance with me, Professor. One last time. They moved onto the floor. 2 observers, a student dancing with her mentor. In reality, 2 predators circling. I know about Seattle, Mara said quietly. The longshoreman strike you broke. The union leader who disappeared. Ancient history. San Francisco. The mayor who wouldn't play ball. His daughter's overdose. Webb's hand tightened on hers. Los Angeles. The judge who tried to investigate. The car accident. Careful, Mara. I've been very careful. 6 months of careful. Would you like to know what I found? She spun, her wedding dress flaring, hiding the moment she planted the device on his jacket. Your communications are fascinating, especially the ones about murdering pregnant women. Webb stopped dancing. Oh, did I forget to mention? Mara smiled. Sumin's investigation didn't die with her. She uploaded everything to a dead man's switch. If she didn't check in every month, it would release automatically. But she died 5 years ago, and Jason's been checking in for her. Until last month. Webb went pale. Right now, every major news outlet is receiving the harbor master's entire network. Names, crimes, bank accounts. Unless what? You disappear. Tonight. Forever. Take your board with you. You can't threaten. Agent Patricia Cole appeared beside them. The real FBI. Professor Webb, you're under arrest for conspiracy, racketeering, and murder. The reception continued, guests oblivious to the takedown happening in their midst. Cole's team moved through the crowd, quietly arresting Webb's people one by one. You have no evidence. We have Sumin's files, Cole said. We have your communications from the device Mrs. Sohn just planted. And we have this. She produced a recorder. Webb's voice played. Should have killed the waitress with her father. Clean sweep. Recorded 10 minutes ago, during the dance. As they led Webb away, he turned back. There are others. Higher than me. They'll come for you. Let them, Mara said, hand on her belly. We'll be ready. Later, as the sun set over the harbor, Mara and Jason stood on the pier where everything began. Any regrets? He asked. One. What? I never got to serve Webb poisoned coffee. He laughed, pulling her close. There's still time. Conjugal visits. Mrs. Sohn. They turned. Turin ran toward them, laptop in hand. You need to see this. Sumin's files, there's one more thing. A video. On the screen, Sumin, alive, pregnant, beautiful. If you're watching this, I'm dead. But you found my research. Which means you're ready for the truth. The harbor masters aren't the top. They answer to someone else. Someone in Washington. Someone who's been playing both sides since. The video cut off. File corrupted. But the implications were clear. Season 2. Turin asked. Mara looked at her husband, her brother, her city. Her hand rested where their child grew. Season 2, she confirmed. The war for Redwood Harbor was won. The war for America had just begun.